Hello everyone and welcome to Brandanda Reviews.
Brandanda Reviews.
I'm Brandon.
I'm Miranda.
And if you're new to this, what we do is we take an album, a musical album at that. We tell you what's good, what's bad, our favorite song, and our overall thoughts on said album.
Mm-hmm.
So today we are looking at KJ-52. It's pronounced that, not KJ-52. His 13th release, depending on what you looked at. I didn't look at re-releases or like mix albums. But so I'm going to go with this is 13th release. And his final release under the KJ-52 moniker which began in 1993. Or he was active since 1993. Yeah. That's just the problem with like a lot of like when you're dealing with a smaller artist, there isn't that much info to like go on, and you have to dig. Like there aren't historians out there like the Beatles. You can sit there and say, no, it was May 23rd, 1963. They did this. Then they ate the sandwich on this day, and then so and so ordered fries. But you just can't do that with like smaller artists or like even in the Christian industry. There's not a lot of historians. So if there's anyone out there that you just love history and you love Christian music, you should grow up to be a Christian music historian. That way people
like
can
on the
know.
Side, you probably won't get a lot of money from that.
Yeah, you probably won't get. Maybe you can like be Patreon or I don't know. But yeah, today we can jump right into this. This is, as I said, his last release under the KJ-52 like stage name.
Why is that? Do you know?
So he talked a lot about how he didn't like that people just get so wrapped up in like one or two things you do. As I had told you, because going into this, I don't think you would really listen to any of his stuff, or you didn't really recognize the name. And I've listened to a little bit here and there, but he's most known for, in the early 2000s, he released like a Dear Slim, where he kind of just talked about how you shouldn't write rap music that's just talking about like killing women or doing whatever. This would be like a letter to Eminem. And then he also released a bunch of like just silly songs, like I'm addicted to Mountain Dew, or like I'm going through the drive-thru to get like a double cheeseburger. Mm-hmm. And he said that he's had people come up to his concert saying like, man, I love your Mountain Dew stuff. And he's like, you know, I've released like 10 albums since then. And like that was like 20 years ago. Like, yeah. So I got the impression that he's still going to release music, but probably just under like his name Jonah or maybe something. So yeah, that's why he's just kind of ending the KJ-52 idea. So, but if you're someone who really is interested in the industry or whatever, he talks a lot about it, like the struggles and even how like, even with all these plays, he gets very little from like a Spotify or like, even record sales. And I haven't watched it yet, but he even did a documentary a year or two ago where I'm not sure if it was just about his career, but I think it was like half his career, half the Christian music industry, because it had like John Rubin in it, had a couple of other like Christian rappers in it. I haven't checked it out yet, but from what I've heard, it's really good. So, but first off, the good. In all of KJ-52 stuff, he's always done a good job of weaving Christ into the lyrics. So, whereas this album was way more on the like heavy side, a lot of his albums, even though it was silly songs, he'd still find a way to weave. Like there's one where it's like it's called Revenge of the Nerds. And the whole song is talking about how nerdy he is or whatever, but at the end he's talking about how like, well, that's how God was made, like God made me, God saved me, like it's okay, you know, to be like that. And I think that shines through on this album too, is that he's able to weave it in without it just being like, let me rap for 2 minutes and then, oh, by the way, I'm a Christian before you forget or whatever. So I think that's what shines through on the album.
So I didn't really like the album, but I will have to say that it was very like sonically cohesive. Mm-hmm. I think like it didn't sound too much alike each song, but they did sound like they were connected to each other, which is good.
Did you like the idea of it almost being like, let me walk through my life on here? Like it starts with, oh, the day I was born, and it ends with like, here's my last song.
Yeah, I think I had to get that after like a second listen. But yeah, that was kind of like the theme that I think held it all together, even like in some of the parts that didn't sound alike. So yeah, I appreciated that.
Now for the bad. I felt like overall the album, it didn't feel like a victory lap. And I know that's what it's like titled and all, and that's what it's supposed to be. And yeah, I know this was an album that was put together by him. Like, it's not just a label like saying you got to put it out, but that's what it almost came across as. Is that it came across as this is not a hey, here's my like farewell to y'all. It came across as I'm filling out an obligation. I personally didn't feel like there was like the passion there. And now I'm not the biggest KJ-52 fan. I haven't followed his career, so it's not saying that it's not there or that he didn't mean for it to be. But as a casual listener, I did not listen to it and think, man, I want to go pick up the rest of his work, or man, like this is someone's life that I want to, not necessarily look into more or whatever, but I didn't feel like I wanted more KJ-52 after it.
Yeah. That was one of my notes too. Like maybe it means more to people who like him. But I've never listened to him before. When I first listened to this, I like angrily text Brandon and I was like, I hate this album so much. I think I'm like more calm about it now, but I think that the fact that he talks about how, like, I understand him saying that it was hard to be like a white rapper, but him saying literally I was chased for the color of my skin just makes me so uncomfortable because he's white, and that's just not something you say as a white person. And so that just kind of put a bad taste in my mouth for the entire thing, and it seems like he brought it up more times than, I mean, like maybe it would have been okay if it was just there one time, but then he kept bringing it up and I was like, oh, I'm not into this. I also think I have heard like I feel like I've heard a lot of songs like Summertime by like Christian rappers, like ironically, and I've heard it done better, and I think that's kind of just the essence of this album is I've heard it done in different ways, like songs about your wife or something like that, and I've heard it being executed better, and so I didn't necessarily enjoy all the execution of it on this album the way that he did it.
My favorite song on the album was Come Alive. I really loved the like hook on it, and I just enjoyed the song as a whole.
I like that song too. I also liked Day I Was Born. I think that was a nice album opener.
Yeah, that's one thing I've noticed is that that's something that means a lot to you, and I think that through these reviews I pay a lot more attention to what's opening an album and thinking like it does really set the whole like trend for it.
Yeah.
Overall thoughts on the album. I think my problem with this is that if you ask a lot of people in Christian circles, KJ-52 is someone who comes up a lot when you say like who are our pioneers or big names in Christian rap or hip hop. And even a bunch of my friends that love it. Like before you had Lecrae come along, I personally feel like KJ-52 was the popular guy. You know, I was really big fans of John Rubin, but I felt like I was like, that's more like the underground or whatever. Whereas KJ-52 is, you're going to Winter Jam. Like that's who you're having come to play. You know, you're playing something for your youth group. You're having KJ-52 because he's fun. He's like a fun youth pastor. You know, kind of like. And I feel like this album doesn't do his career justice. Like afterwards, I felt like this is not representative of someone that you look at this album and think, yeah, this guy is one of the best ever. It comes across as this just seems like someone that's like, I want some time. Like I'm burnt out, I think is the best way to handle it. And I think that's why the album's disappointing is even though that I'm not the biggest KJ-52 fan, I feel like it could have been something that highlights him more and gets people talking and thinking, you know, because I compare it to John Rubin's releases he's released this year, and I tell people I feel like John Rubin's back. Like this is some of his favorite stuff of mine that he's put out is the newer stuff, whereas with KJ-52 I didn't feel that on this album.
Yeah, I think that like as somebody who was like just immediately turned off to it like after a couple weeks, I kind of like, I don't know, if you've never listened to it before, I definitely wouldn't start I definitely wouldn't start with this album, but I mean it kind of makes me interested to listen to some of his old stuff to see what it's like because I feel like there's just some topics that you like cover on like introductory albums that I feel like were covered on this one, which is confusing since like you said 13 albums later.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to listen to his older stuff to see, because I feel like I can't, first of all, because of how much I didn't like it, but like I feel like I just can't get a full picture of him on this, and so I feel like I should listen to more of his stuff. So in a way, it's kind of good because it like encourages me to listen to other stuff of his, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, because that's where I had to step in on the text message and be like, no, I can assure you that KJ-52 is not a racist. He's not like, he's a good guy. But that's our thoughts on KJ-52's release of Victory Lap. Let us know, did we get it right? Did we get it horribly wrong? What's your thoughts on the album?
Yeah.
As always, we appreciate you listening to this. If you have any albums you want to recommend for us to review, let us know in the comments. Call us on the cell phone. Write it in the sky. I don't know. Just get us the name of the album.
Yes.
Make sure you like this video. Make sure you comment. I've already left you a lot of stuff you can comment on. Whether you liked it, hated it. If you just like music, just type hi if you want to. You can type whatever you want to in there. But yeah, we'll see you next time. And this has been Brandanda Reviews with Miranda
and Brandon.